Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with Linda Armstrong and Rita Giganti. Today is Friday, July the 17th, 2020. It's 4 p.m. New York time. And wherever you are in the world, thanks for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. And I'm happy to be on Friday, guys, because it's been a long work week. And I was working all week long on feeling good during work, but I'm done with that for now. I get to actually have a weekend, and I'm looking forward to it.
Nice.
Yeah. It feels good. And I've got a little bit of a poser for you guys. Every once in a while, I like to do. I like to think of it as virtual Q&A, where I just go into a Facebook group and grab an interesting question and bring it in for discussion as if we were answering it for the person. And I found one that, it's a little scattered, but it's fun. So I thought I would run it by you guys and see what you think of it.
We like fun.
Bring it on.
All right. So this guy's name is Richard, and he says, so I asked this a couple of years ago, but I want to ask again to glean some fresh wisdom from you all as the issue has come around again. My wife is really keen to buy a house which would use all of our savings. I understand where she's coming from. Buying offers some security and solid financial legacy to pass on to our only child who has no family but me and his mom. All of my son's friends live in this town, and it gives us the opportunity to have our own home and make it a special place for us to spend a large part of our life together. She has a pretty strong case, but I have resistance to this path. I feel much more secure and even divinely led, could be ego, to stay out in rental. I like having the money in the bank. I had a feeling for years before COVID that something big was going to happen to humanity, a global event that will transform our world, our self-awareness, and our conscious awareness of our divine being that is pure love and does not depend on money, property, power, and prestige. And I was right. COVID happened. And here we are. I don't believe for one second the divine force controlling everything for ultimate good is done with us yet. I feel something even better is set to follow. I'm just not sure what. I just feel like I feel it in my bones like I did pre-COVID. Owning a property seems completely irrelevant to me. I want to have money in the bank so I can respond to the future in a protective manner toward my family. I feel more secure with the money in the bank and not in a house so I can respond to the call. My wife is the opposite. I don't really have a plan or a vision, so it's asking a lot of her to blindly follow me, and yet I feel what she wants to do is equally conflicting to my beliefs. This is a real tough call. Ultimately, I want to do what's best for my son. My wife's vision of that is anchored around security. Mine, well, I'm just a bit of a divergent without a plan. I go with the wind. Nice having that money in the bank, though. Help.
You know what? I'd say you just have to.
I feel like Dear Abby.
You're right.
Go ahead.
You just have to go with what feels right for you. The problem is that they both have a different feeling for what would be correct for their family, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that I've always made money on every house I've ever had. And I wouldn't have, moving just from one rental home to another rental home, I wouldn't have had that.
Mm-hmm.
So there is something to that. But I know I used to resist when my mom would say, put down maybe people renting, or if I did rent for a certain time, like that point of view where you had the older point of view and you leave it for your kids. Leave it for my kids. I moved like 10 times already. You know what I mean? The house isn't going to be, maybe, who knows what, but I never really think about it that way. It's just an older way of thinking, right? That's been ingrained in people that you have to own this house. You got to pay off your mortgage. You got to leave it for your kids and that kind of stuff. So I don't know. For their child, he's going to be happy whether they own the house they live in or not. They just find a neighborhood that they would enjoy to have. But if you want to go to the older, well, I don't want to say old folk. In my family, I call it the old folk way of thinking, that you have to own a house and leave it for your kids. Well, that is something you can leave for your kid. There's that too. So it really goes with since the two of them have different ideas, how can they find something that would work with them, between the two of them?
Do they do, what just came was, do they do things like rent with option to buy anymore? Maybe that might be a solution that would be viable for both of them. Like, she knows they're working towards it, so she feels good about it, and he doesn't feel so like,
he's not putting out all that money all at once. right? Because if you hold the money and feel secure.
Right. Right. Because there's something to be said about, taking a leap of faith and knowing it'll be okay. But there's also something to be said about, yes, we're in crisis right now with all of this, but if we based every decision on that, we would stand still. We wouldn't move, so I think that, maybe a resolution of, okay, let's find the house that we love, rent it, and then reevaluate in a year, like if they're renting option to buy, then reevaluate when things start to calm down, because eventually things will, so it will level out, but it will be a new way of living. I mean, we're in that place.
So what popped into my mind with what you were just saying is, buy low, sell high, because you're probably going to have, you're probably going to be able to buy homes for less money. I'm just assuming that, because if a lot of people are foreclosing and, all this other stuff going on.
Yeah.
I haven't paid attention. I don't know what's happening really with the market, but it could really take a bit of a dive. So if you can find a place where maybe they can find a place where their mortgage is less than, rent is freaking high. I mean, where Rita and I live, you can't rent anything for less than $3,000 for just an ordinary little thing. It's crazy.
Yeah. And to me, that's throwing money away. Like when I think about that, I'm like, that's just throwing money right out the window.
To put all that into rent when you can put the same amount maybe into a mortgage.
Right.
So, it's individual. It's not like a law of attraction question, I don't think. And I don't know if it was meant to be that way. I think it's just individual and two people having to decide what's best together. Not like one overpowering the other one. And that happens with anything, any decisions.
Sure.
It did appear in an Abraham Hicks Vortex group on Facebook, so I think there was supposed to be a little bit of a law of attraction thing to it.
And so maybe he's thinking her vortex has the house, my vortex doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to, manifest anything when you're at opposite ends of the spectrum like that. But I'm also, this is just an intuitive thing. I think, there's more maybe to come. And so maybe you wait till after the election, you wait till like spring of next year when maybe things, start to settle out a little bit more, because so much is volatile right now, so much.
And another aspect of that, maybe the energetic side of it, is like him having to have the money in the bank. Like, what beliefs of scarcity is it bringing up for him? That having and owning a home may actually help to break free of that and make him more money in the long run.
Right.
And maybe even pay less in their mortgage payment than a rent somewhere, although that's probably going to change now too.
Yeah.
But it all comes down to beliefs, patterns, and programs. Like if you have the voice in the back of your head of your parents saying, you have to have money in the bank for that rainy day, for when the shoe falls, but that's not living from a high vibration. That's living from a total scarcity mentality.
Yeah.
So the question is, and it doesn't have to be, maybe he doesn't have that kind of baggage energy attached to it, but if he does, then it's worth looking at that. And so if the wife has this where you don't make it in this life unless you have a house that you own, that's also belief patterns too.
Sure.
Right? So it could just be that they could maybe acknowledge for each, really hear each other, really hear each other's concerns. And because a lot of times if you have two opposing ideas in a lot of marriages, especially when people aren't maybe as awake as others, I don't know, where they don't hear what the other person said. They only hear what they're saying.
Right.
I mean, I know I grew up that way with my mom. She never heard a freaking word I said. Now she does. She's changed. I've changed. She's changed. But, yeah. So there could be some energy, like maybe if they did go to someone like me or Rita or other people that can tap into what's really behind all of this. And it depends too. Is it like a big crash between them, or is it kind of like well, I'd rather do this. Well, I'd rather do this. But like, are they really married to their story, each of them? We don't know that.
Right.
It's true. Yeah, we're inferring a lot from what he wrote into one particular narrative.
But I think we're kind of covering the different angles of it. So
yeah.
Good.
Yeah. I had a kind of a different reaction, similar, but different. My reaction was, why do you both believe that you can't have both? Why can't you have money in the bank and have a house?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, to me, that's saying limiting beliefs on both sides.
Well, and so you know what? Maybe the COVID thing gives them the opportunity to not have to take that whole nest egg, only a part of it, and still get into something.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe what Rita said before about rent to own is a way to do it gradually.
Yeah, because when you get to your comfort zone, then you feel more positive about doing a little bit more, as opposed to just, for some people, jumping in on the cold end of the pool is not gonna help. It's only gonna make the fear worse. So if it needs to be gradual, as long as it keeps moving, in a positive direction, then you get to where you're going to get no matter what.
And the fact that he posted in a Law of Attraction group tells me that, well, that plus a lot of his narrative tells me that he's thinking future. I mean, he's talking about how he thinks there's going to be some big event that's happening post-COVID that he's going to want to have money in the bank for. And he says very clearly at one point that is security for him. He says it's nice having that money in the bank. I mean, it's a very big security thing for him. Similarly, for his wife, having the house is a security thing. Right. They're both into the security. And
they're just seeing security as different.
And they're seeing it differently. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe he's tapping into a big event, but maybe that big event is actually a very positive thing.
Could be.
Yeah, could be positive.
Yeah. Like I know the big event, I won't even say it, but things that I'm following, there's going to be some great abundance coming to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm holding on to that.
There is a bunch of stuff that's happening right now that I can point to that says to me, yeah, there's going to be some big changes happening within the year. Mm-hmm. I mean, just in 2020, not counting even stuff I can see coming in 2021, 2022.
No, we don't even have to go out that far because things are just flying right now.
That's true.
Changes are just paramount and happening, and and it's really how you perceive what's happening. It's huge.
You know what? I just shot a video and I didn't even look at it yet, and I don't even know if I'm going to use it, but really basically, because I just pulled a card, I got cornucopia. I'm like, okay, abundance. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm going to talk about. And it wound up, the whole thing really boiled down to is there's all this crap is bringing up all these possibilities. How do you want to look at it? Do you want to go the energy that goes everything's misery, or do you want to open up? Because really, you can't create from that misery energy. Nothing good can come in through there.
No.
Unless you let go, like take that flying leap and open up, then all these possibilities start to appear because you're in this higher vibe. You can see it. You can't see it from a low vibe.
Right.
I just did a freaking video on that whole entire thing that we just were summing up what Rita was just saying just now.
How often does that happen, Linda? I mean, literally, almost every time we do a video, we end up talking about it. It's crazy.
I shouldn't be surprised, but it just happened this past 2 minutes ago.
Right.
That is crazy. So funny. Actually, I've had something else happen that it was. I've been meaning to do a mass marketing campaign to put out the word about LOA today, in addition to the energetic stuff that we do, and part of my plan was to have the app ready. The app is out there. I'm trying to get the second update out there, which would be complete from my perspective for doing the campaign. We've expanded the co-host staff a bit. We've got the Stream of David coming in on Tuesday now. That's really a big event. We have our own Abraham Hicks. That's the way I'm looking at that. And I'd already written the ad copy to put out there, and I mistakenly started it without realizing, oh, wait a minute, I haven't finished the update on the app itself. I want to get that done first before I do the campaign. But the campaign ran for about 3 hours. And during that 3-hour time, I spent about $1, and 8 people clicked through on it. And I said, damn, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a good response rate. So I stopped it because I knew I had to finish the app. I had to make sure that what I was promising in the ad was actually in the app when I downloaded it. So I stopped that. But I was thinking to myself, wow, that is basically showing where my vibration's been for the last few weeks, last few months, trying to get into this place where all the stuff's going to start happening. And even in the act of writing the ad copy, it was really interesting. The ad copy flowed. I didn't have to think about it. I just wrote it out. I wrote 2 drafts. The first draft came out. You guys remember Crazy Eddie, the Crazy Eddie commercial?
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out like a Crazy Eddie commercial. I said, okay, well, that's kind of fun, but we'll put that one aside. And then the second one came out more like me just talking to somebody, that kind of thing. And so I got the 2 different versions there. And both of them just flowed right out. I mean, I was done in like 30 seconds.
Right.
Whoa, this is great.
You were tapped in, baby.
I was tapped in. It. Yeah. So I guess when I saw this person writing there, I was coming from the perspective of right now, I feel like there are no limits. Right now, I've got myself into a great place. So my perspective is, wow, go for the gusto. And that's why I was thinking, well, why not have both the money and the house?
Mm-hmm.
Why not open up your perspective and say, I can have both. We can have both. We can satisfy both of our needs.
Sure.
And if we both believe it, then it'll happen. Whereas, by the same token, if one of us feels like we got to have the house and the other one feels, oh, we got to have the money in the bank, there's a very good chance you'll lose both. Just because you've got that negative energy going on.
Right.
You know what? And that's another thing I was talking about in this video before, but because sometimes people don't know how to get there because they're still kind of stuck in that lower vibe, right? Mm. But really that just a little bit of gratitude for anything starts to open that up. And then that energy starts to grow and grow and grow, even though there's something crappy going on. But when you focus on the little things that are kind of good, it opens, it's just all about opening up the energy, opening up to receive the energy of more good stuff that can come in, you know? Mm-hmm. And so when you're in that high vibe like that, yeah, it just all does flow. But you could be in a shitty vibe.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
You don't choose to go there, but you could be there. And you know that when you're in that way, you don't see any opportunities or possibilities or solutions or how anything can change because you can't. So
and I had that this week, by the way, this past Tuesday. That's the day. That's the vibe I was in for the entire day. I broke out of it, but I was there.
Yeah, and it happens. We go there, we come out, you know. Yeah. But so basically, I guess what I'm saying is, if you can find a little bit of gratitude for anything, you start moving yourself into a higher vibe. Because on that day, you wouldn't have been able to have those things just flow out.
No, not at all. In fact, and I recognized it too. I talked about this a couple of days ago, but I recognized it and I was saying, okay, I really Walt, you got to snap yourself out of this. This is not the vibe you want to be in at all. And I started doing all my little things to make the change and nothing was working. I just kept snapping back into that negative vibe. I was like, holy crap, what's going on here? I don't understand.
the one piece too, I don't think maybe people would understand is that there's so much going on right now, energetically with people that if it may not even be yours that you're experiencing. That's something you have to check in with. It's like, is this really mine or is this something on the outside of me that I'm feeling? Because being an empath, I know I have to check in constantly. Is this shit mine or am I picking up, the world right now? And that's why I'm feeling like this. So, when you're in and out like that, just stop for a second and say, all right, whose is this spirit? Doesn't matter whose it is, but once you know and you're aware of it, then you just ask for it to be taken.
Yeah, I wish I thought I didn't think of that one, but you're right. That would have been a great question.
But even to make it a little simpler is just by saying, who does this belong to? Who does it belong to? And you repeat that question a few times, you feel, because I do it all the time now, you feel that energy kind of dissipate. You're like, oh, it's not even mine. Mm-hmm. Right. And then you just can move on.
Yeah. Right. Because sometimes you're going through the day and it hits you and you go, there's absolutely no reason why I should be feeling this because I was in a great place like 10 seconds ago.
Right.
So then I'm asking like, all right, whose is this? And then sometimes I hear spirit giggle and I'm like, all right, just take it then. I don't need this, I picked it up. So I'm releasing it now. It's not mine. you know,
So
and it's just that awareness will shift it. You know, just the awareness will shift it. So people that are listening, it may not always be yours, or it may be a combination, and then you just own what's yours, and the rest you get rid of. You know.
So are you saying that spirit is a practical joker at times?
Oh God. Thank God they have a sense of humor, because I don't know where I would be. Because I talk to them like this. I talk with my hands and everything. You know, it's not like anybody's standing in the room with me, but they see me going, you know. So yeah, they have senses of humor, big time.
And even when something's going on, you could even just ask questions. Like I'm just finding being in the question blows the energy out altogether. So it's like something really crappy's going on. You're like, okay, what is it about this that I'm not seeing that actually could be of service to me? Or What is this? What can I do with it? You don't have to get in your head, what can I do with it? You just ask, what can I do with it? And let it go. Because then little things pop into your head when you can let it go. Kind of look at it like, okay, this really sucks. And maybe I'll just go watch a funny movie right now because I don't know what else to do. You know, just to distract yourself, ask a lot of questions, and you'll find that the energy lightens up.
Yeah.
I also found that what I was responding with was anger. And I was getting really, really angry. Much more angry than I'd been in months, years perhaps. I mean, I was just expressing all this anger, and I wish I'd thought about what you guys were just saying about, was this really my energy? But I just kept responding to that with anger, and I was saying to myself, Walt, you got to stop doing that. You know, whenever you do that, you're just generating more and more of it. I said, I know, but I'm really angry right now. And so I let it out a little bit, and then I finally just started doing kind of what you were talking about, Linda. I just started saying, okay, what do I have to appreciate right now? There's got to be something. And then I started finding things to appreciate and so forth. And then it pulled me back into being angry again. I said, no, let's go back to the appreciation thing again. It's kind of like a little tennis match going on there for a bit. And finally, I didn't actually resolve the energy that day. I had to kind of, do a reset and wake up the next morning. But I calmed it down.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Because some people can't even do that.
Yeah.
You know, they'll stay in it for weeks.
Oof. Oh, well, that used to be me.
I can't.
It is not a happy place to be, but yeah, it's easy to do. It's very easy to do.
You know, it's interesting. You talk about appreciation. Doing this heart math thing that I was talking about.
Oh yeah, what's been going on with that?
So I find that appreciation when you go into that, because there's several different ways to go into it. But when I started to do the appreciation and what I was grateful for, and then the heart opens up and you start smiling, and this thing picks up your energy. So I was in coherence for like 5 minutes straight. And I was like, oh my God, compared to just, breathing, which was good because I was still in coherence, and then I would come out and go back in and all that. But that gratitude blew it off the charts.
Wow.
I noticed. Yeah.
So you're experiencing some pretty big differences.
When you're actually in a high vibe, do a lot of gratitude then, because you're really enforcing it. Like I had that the other day. I was like, I couldn't contain how, I don't know, happy, excited, like this vibration I had that was just, and actually earlier in the day, I was really feeling kind of depleted, but then something shifted. And so I just kind of did my own appreciation rampage of feeling so good and just sending good energy out and acknowledging all kinds of stuff, because when we're in there, why not really milk it so that you get really good at feeling that vibe, because we know that other vibe. So that's why we can stay there. It's so easy. We're so comfortable. Like, yeah, I'm angry. Right. I don't want to be angry, but it's freaking comfortable because you spent a lot of your life already in that anger energy, right? For whatever, throughout the years, different things going on, or if it's, worry or whatever that lower vibe might be.
So I'm just getting a message from Spirit. They're saying, for those of you who are experiencing the highs and lows, the ups and downs, and that could be minute to minute, day to day, whatever, the best thing to do is every day get into your center for a good 5-10 minutes, so that it happens less and less now, less and less. So I've noticed that with doing the heart math, when I'm in that for 10 10 minutes straight, I get out of there, I am at complete peace. You know, complete peace. Or if I'm doing the gratitude thing, I'm in joy, you know. So if you can, and I know people don't think of this. They don't think, oh, I have to do this every day. There's no have to's, but if you do, you are going to see the difference.
That's
the bottom line.
Yeah, that's where you're going to get the benefits of having that everyday experience. I agree with what Spirit has been transmitting to you there, because I know that what got me out of that Tuesday event was all the work I've been doing in the other days leading up to Tuesday. Right. I had a pattern built up that allowed me to climb out of that a lot quicker than I would have 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. You know,
we're all learning how to adjust, you know, to this new paradigm, to the new energy. Nobody's having, you know, a blissful time unless, you know, you're a monk sitting for 24 hours meditating and you're out of your body. So,
or unless Rita is connected into heart math, but other than that.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So, because I want even the average, like, you know, people that don't do this work, I want them to know that we're experiencing things too, that they're not the only ones and they're not alone.
No,
you know? Right. So.
Hey, I made the comment that I hadn't felt that angry in months and months. I realized I told a story here on the show about 2 months ago, about a time that I did get angry for the first time in a long, long time. And it was with a guy who lives in my neighborhood who I see when I go take my walks. And for the longest time, he was just somebody I would just wave hello to. He waved back. And then one day he confronted me about, I don't remember what. It had nothing to do with me. It was his own energy going on. And he was going on about how terrible, the political situation was. He's a right winger. He was ranking on the left wing, and I'm really getting nasty about it and doing it right in my face. And I couldn't get away from the guy. And so I ended up, much to my regret, responding in kind. And we had this little tussle and then moved on. Well, I mentioned that because I had another event with a guy this week. I saw him because we both have mailboxes that we share. You know, the complex has the same mailboxes. And I saw him at the mailbox, and his box is like, you know, a foot away from mine. You know, so it was kind of hard to avoid him, is what I'm saying. And I saw him there, so I'm kind of sitting, you know, standing to the side, waiting for him very patiently. And he's really taking his time. And then finally, he looks around and he sees me. I wave hello, and he thinks about it for a second. He's back at the box, and he's doing something over here in the back of the box. He looks at me again, and he just stares at me. And I say, "Can I get in there?" He says, "Oh yeah, sure." And he steps aside. I go and get my mail. I grab the mail. Thank you. Go off, start walking away. And he says, "Have a nice day." And I thought, wow, the energy shifted. Mm. The energy shifted. We both left it behind. How cool is that? So something that previously could have been like a life deal breaker, like, oh my God, this is my lifelong enemy. It just washed right away. Yeah. Because both of us let go of it.
It's awesome.
It makes me think of two things, because sometimes when you just match the energy, it can dissipate too. Like I've seen that with people who work with kids, or if a kid is having like a tantrum and it just can't snap out of it, one way you get them to snap out of it is shout and yell and have the tantrum, the same energy, boom, and then it's like the child's like, "What? Oh,
what happened?"
Just like my sister-in-law used to do that with, you know, I had to learn what she was doing, and I would see it happen. It's like, oh, and then he was happy little kid again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, little kids are particularly resilient in that way. I mean,
this child is just stuck in an energy, but it could be the same thing for adults, right? You're just stuck in that place.
Of course.
But then something of the same magnitude of energy goes boom back at you. And you're like, huh?
Right.
You probably weren't even aware of where you were when you were in that space.
Yeah.
That's so easy to do too, to not be aware. That's kind of in a sense what happened to me with Tuesday. I didn't know how I'd gotten there. And I, despite my efforts, I wasn't getting out successfully. I made it neutral. I neutralized it, and that enabled me to go to sleep and wake up the next morning and start again, like a reboot. But when I was in the middle of that, I knew, I was conscious enough to know, yeah, this is going on, but I couldn't see the way out.
Right.
Couldn't see the way out. It's frustrating. Especially when you think that you're enlightened and you still can't see the way out.
Well, I've done that where I knew my mood was sucky, and I'm like, yeah, but I can shift it, but I'm just not, like, consciously choosing not to.
Yeah, right.
And then, like, half an hour later, it's like, all right, enough of that. I'm just going to shift out of this stuff. But I didn't feel like it at the time. I'm like, no, I could stay here. Maybe I'm supposed to stay here.
I was spitting bullets. I was not one.
I'm justifying that I'm pissed off.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to stay here. Why not? Why do I have to be happy all the time?
Right? Hey, that in of itself may shift it, because you may just start laughing at yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the thing is, it's an awakening. We're becoming more aware. So the cool thing is, when you're aware that you're not in a good place, at least you're aware that you're not in a good place. You're not just stuck there oblivious and unconscious about it.
Right.
And that's the first part of shifting it, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I may not have succeeded, but I did have awareness. And that awareness, I'm certain, reduced the length of time I had to stay there substantially, dramatically.
Yeah.
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 And that's a good thing. So. Well, that was the only one I had to bring to the table here, and unfortunately, the live stream is not working properly, so we can't ask our live streamers for stuff. So we'll have to come up with it on our own. But at least it gives us a starting point. I want to ask you more about the heart math, because you said you've been playing with it, and you've
every day.
What's your strategy been? I'm like, have you been following a pattern, or how have you been playing with it?
I'm trying not to put pressure on myself about when and how and this and that, because I tend to do that, and then I hold myself, like, if I don't hold myself to that, then I get disappointed.
You start beating yourself up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not going to do that. So if I do it every day, sometimes I do it once, twice, 3 times. It depends on the day. Right.
Wow. Well, that's really good.
But what I noticed was, it definitely, shifts the energy for like I'm noticing that when I'm done with it, I am very much at peace. Depending on where I'm taken with my thoughts depends on how I come out of it, because they ask you to chart what you feel at the end. So, it's a happy face or a peaceful face or a sad face or an angry face or whatever. So, I noticed that this is good, but you want to reach a certain point. There's like so many points that you should reach, right, when you're doing it. So when I'm in that coherence and they're saying, good, you're getting the benefits, keep going, and I'm on that roll, then all of a sudden I know when I'm shifted, right? Then the red light comes on and says, like, you're out of coherence, and I'm like, shit, like, but instead of getting upset about it, I'm like, okay, just focus, go back to your heart. And I think of something really like joyful or good or gratitude or something, and immediately it shifts. Immediately.
So is that like what the pattern is? What the method is? You sit down, you plug this in, and you just focus on what feels good?
Yeah. So you put the sensor on your ear, you plug it in. When you download the app, it picks up the sensor. You will see your heart rate variability at the top of the screen. It'll say it's going, right?
Okay.
Then I'll tell you, follow the sensor to breathe. So you start to breathe, it'll pick up your heart rate and all that. And then it'll say to think about something, that makes you feel good, joyful. So immediately, 9 times out of 10, you go right into the coherence, which is a green light.
Yeah.
Then if it starts to dissipate, you go into a blue light. But it tells you, okay, get back to your heart, start to breathe through your heart, think about something, right? And then if you're really not in coherence, the red light comes on. And so there are times where I can stick with that green light the whole time.
Nice.
There are times where it goes green, blue, red, or green, red, blue, green. Like, it'll shift consistently through the whole time. And what I'll do is I'll think about at the end. It'll be like, okay, what was going on in my mind? Was I relaxed? Did I come off of something that I should have like focused a little bit? That kind of. So I'm looking at it from all angles to see what's helping, what isn't helping.
Yeah.
And I'm only doing it at the first level at this point, because on the app, it says there's 4 levels. So I'm just, right now I'm at the first level, just, working with it.
What does that mean on the first level? What?
I'm not sure.
Not sure? Okay.
I haven't even read into it yet. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself.
Yeah.
I want to start trying things, I just want to get used to it.
Sure.
And, they already called me, from California. They're like, so do you think you might be interested in teaching this?
Oh my.
Like, all right. I don't know yet,
Give me another few weeks.
Yeah. Let me see how it goes. So, so it's, I like it again because it's not taking up hours of time. It's doable, and you see it right there. Like you see the results right there.
Like how much time do you spend each session?
5 to 10 minutes.
So it's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once you get into the rhythm of the breathing and the thinking, it flies. You're past the mark half the time,
It sounds like it's almost a way of training yourself to maintain your attention on what it is you want to attend.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And honestly, it's the same as anybody teaching you how to manifest, like Dr. Joe or,
right.
Greg Braden or any of those guys. They tell you, Greg, all of them are part of this heart math, connection.
Mm-hmm.
And Greg, especially in his books, talks about how to connect the heart to the brain and using certain mantras to get you into that coherence. So I'm reading one of his books called The Wisdom Codes. And he goes from all over he takes it from Christianity, Buddhism. He'll take codes that can help you with feeling good, with feeling healthy, with manifesting, with feeling safe because of everything that's going on right now. And in the beginning, he tells you how to get into that coherence between your heart and your brain.
Right.
And then repeating the mantras over and over. I mean, you can record yourself repeating them and listen to them and be in that space, as long as
do you feel like the mantras really help? I mean, when you're repeating them, do you feel like it's actually helping you?
I feel like for me, it has to be like a song. It can't be dull.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like it just can't be, blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Right.
It's got to have, I start to chant things because I have to get that feeling,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what it's all about. It's all about having that feeling behind it. Right?
Yeah, sure.
Because you can say anything, but if you don't have that energy behind it, it's flat.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I start singing if whatever it takes to get it, whatever it takes.
That's cool, though. That's really great.
Right before Rita started talking about that, I thought, because you didn't know what to talk about, let me pick a card. We'll see what to talk about.
Okay.
Well, do I get Angel of Love?
Okay. Angel of Love?
But it was in the reverse, and it's talking about a possible disconnect with your heart. So,
oh my
and
goodness.
then we just start talking about all about the heart stuff. So.
Well, I gotta tell you, I think that this is the first thing in a long time on my own that I'm doing that I have to say, it's simplified and it can really, give you a lot of benefits just from the simplicity of it. That's it. And anytime you open up your heart like that, I just didn't realize how again, these two being in coherence, even though I do this friggin' work and I teach people how to do it, it's like once I start to realize it about myself, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, sure.
Duh.
Yeah, right. But still, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So you know how you read, how you can read like a million books and you'll take something from each book
mm-hmm.
that you resonate with and it sticks with you. It's
right.
kind of like that. You can try, 100 different modalities, and from each one you'll take something that resonates with you and use it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the beauty about all these healing modalities.
Well, just from what you've been describing about how heart math works and how you've been experimenting with it and so forth, you're actually selling me on trying it. I mean, I'm getting intrigued by it now.
listen, if I wasn't feeling the benefits of it, I couldn't, but when I believe in something, shit, I'm a good salesperson when I believe in something.
There you go. Yeah. and I like it. I like the idea of training myself to maintain my focus where I want it to be. I like that because I've
Yes.
recognized for a long time how important that is.
And they say you get to the point where it's just happening automatically. You are coherent as you're having the conversations with people,
Nice.
as you're experiencing life. You're coherent.
Yeah.
Like I can't wait. I can't wait for that.
I'm honestly, among other things, I'm curious to see what happens if I plug myself into that and do a show at the same time and watch what happens.
Oh my God.
So, Walt, I have an answer for you.
Okay.
Say yes.
Say yes. The card says say yes. I love it.
Now, once again, I pick up a deck, I start shuffling it, and then Rita starts talking about simple, 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 simple. Well, I picked up, and I showed you in the camera, the answer is simple.
There it is, yeah.
Right?
I mean,
so then I shuffle, I get the card. What's the card? And you're talking about, I'm thinking about getting this heart math thing.
Card says say yes. I love it.
I mean, could it get any like more coherent?
And it's all talking about.
Could the signs be any more clear? I mean, I've always been the one who
Right?
complained about signs not being clear. That's about as clear as you're going to get.
I'm saying it's like we're in coherence.
Yeah, right.
Right?
And it's talking
That's
about
funny.
like, yes, and being in that flow. That answer is simple.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's definitely worth it. And like I said, even if you used it, the gentleman on the phone that I spoke to said, even if you used it once a day for 10 minutes, you're going to feel the benefits and get into that coherence.
Yeah,
so
sure.
just that is worth it as far as
Absolutely.
I'm concerned.
Well, yeah, anybody can set aside 10 minutes,
Right.
I mean, there's some of the things that Dr. Joe teaches that take hours. You have to wake up at 3:00 in the morning for some of it and so forth. But
yeah.
10 minutes for this thing? Just 10 minutes of any part of the day? Heck, anybody can do it.
Like I'm thinking to myself, after all the hot flashes I'm having during the night that I'm up, I'm not getting up at 4. That's the bottom line.
I hear you.
I'm up like 100 times already. I got to get up before and meditate. I can't do it. But 10 minutes I can do. So
Love it. Absolutely love it. Oh, that's fun.
A lot of fun.
So, okay, Linda, you're hot pulling those cards out. What's the next card say? That's going to give us our topic.
I'm going to the Enchanted Map.
Okay.
Let Baron read.
Enchanted
I
Map,
love
right?
it. I love
Let's see
it.
what we get.
All right.
Magic Prayer. 32. Did we get this not that long ago?
That I don't remember.
The image looks a little familiar.
Maybe I had someone I was working with. I don't know. Anyway.
Although not recently. That looks like something.
Magic Prayer.
Looks like something we would have drawn like about 6-8 months ago, something like that.
Magic Prayer, you said?
Yep. In the upright
Okay.
position. Number 32. And we'll see what she says.
Yeah, this is cool.
So it's about speak your prayers, listen for the answers, act in faith. So when you see the Magic Prayer card, it is a reminder that your prayers will be answered. Yay.
Yay.
Spirit's always waiting to help you and to heal you when you're in need, to heal you when you're in need. That said, the best prayer is, thy will be done through me, thy will and not mine be done. So I guess you could say that's getting out of your head and allowing that energy to do its thing, right?
Right.
We started talking about earlier today. So conscious contact with your higher power is achieved through the ritual of prayer and meditation. Speak and listen to the divine force within the field of creation. Surrender your wishes and desires to Spirit. You may not get what you want, but you will surely get what you need. Your destiny awaits you as long as you keep in conscious contact with your higher power. Be assured that you're on the right path. That's even a little more of just that letting go kind of thing, right? And just allowing those solutions to come in, because we get, if you're not in the high vibe, you're not going to get the inspiration. Use your brain in that manner, right?
Right.
When you're in that lower vibe, all you get more is that programming that keeps you stuck there. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why this is connecting for me, but I'll bring it in because I keep going back to it. Cindy Chavez and I have been talking about doing a show on a Neville Goddard article that one of our listeners recommended. And she sent me a copy of it. I was looking at it before today's show, reading through. I got about a third of the way through it. And for those who are interested, who are the Neville fans, Cindy and I will be discussing it starting this Wednesday. So you want to tune in for that. But in this particular speech or paper or whatever it was, Neville sounded even more human than normal compared to his other talks. And I say that because he tells a story about himself where he slips, where the story starts off with him and his wife traveling, and they lose her suitcase full of all of her custom-made dresses that this one particular dressmaker had made for her, and they were irreplaceable. Basically, it was a case of the luggage being stolen in the airport, by some baggage handler, that kind of thing. And he, as he tells the story, he says, I know I manifested this. I don't know how I did this, but I have to own up to it. Somehow I got myself in a place where I did this. Okay. But I also know I don't have to stay in that place. I can shift it around. And so he did a whole thing where he took his own suitcase, held it in his hands, and pretended he was holding his wife's, and that he was feeling the weight of her dresses in that suitcase and getting into a heart coherent state. He was getting into that high vibe state where he was really, really feeling it. And within a day or two, he got a phone call from a voice. It was not somebody who was willing to identify themselves. And was it a phone call or was it, I think it was actually a piece of mail. Yeah, it was a piece of mail. And it was a letter. And the letter said, sorry about that. Your suitcase is in locker 527 at the San Francisco airport. And it was signed The Phantom. And he then tells the story about how he calls the airline and they put him in contact with the main office in Los Angeles, and they check the lockers and they can't find it there. He says, no, it's the San Francisco one. Oh, okay, we'll get back to you. They check the San Francisco lockers. They find that the suitcase is there. It's all disheveled. Everything's a mess, but it's all there. And he gets it back. And
wow.
Yeah, and it's just, it's a perfect LOA story, but it's especially perfect because he started from a place of, oh God, I've done it again. I manifested this thing, but I don't have to stay in that place.
Right.
And I love that because
That
that's real, right? A lot of the Neville stories sound almost supernatural, but that one sounds real.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's fantastic.
So that's a little heads up for those who are Neville fans. Cindy and I will be discussing that particular article in more detail. And he has other good stories in there too. I don't know why that connected to what we were talking about, but it just felt like it did. I'm not really sure why.
Well, it connects in the sense that he got into that vibration.
Out of it, yeah.
A heart, brain thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to shift it completely. I mean, what are the chances?
Yeah, right.
Of anybody sending a letter.
Signing the Phantom. I love
like your suitcase. I'm sorry about that. Your suitcase is here.
You're right.
None of the dresses fit me.
Yeah.
They're all for women.
Yeah, I'm out of that stage. I don't dress in women's clothes anymore. Oh, that's funny.
That was funny. Oh my goodness. Oh, yeah. Something else I need to tell people about too. With David Strickle coming on Tuesdays, I want to encourage people who have always wanted to ask an Abraham Hicks question to send questions in, because we actually started this past Tuesday. This was his first official week as part of the team here. He's going to be here every Tuesday. And I want to encourage listeners who've always wanted to ask Abraham a question, send me the question, because I'm going to ask them on the air for you.
Right.
So if you have a question that you've always wanted to ask Abraham, email it to me. It's probably the easiest way, walt@loatoday.net. And I'll ask it. And it's fun. I mean, the person who sent a question last Tuesday lives in, I'm not sure exactly where this person lives, but I'm going to venture a guess that they're in like Southwestern Asia. like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, that kind of area. And they were writing about how frustrated they were that their government was filtering so much. They couldn't even get onto Facebook and do stuff that they wanted to do on Facebook. And so they were asking, well, what can I do while living within a country where my government is abusing my rights and everybody else's rights in this way? And the answer that the stream gave was so perfect that the guy's name was Avinash. He wrote back saying that was an amazing answer. It surprised him with what came out. I mean, Rita, you experienced David's channeling and what the message was like, and it feels like Abraham. It has the wisdom of source energy behind it. You know, it does have David's flavoring as opposed to Esther Hicks' flavoring because he's the one who's doing the interpreting of the thoughts. But wow, it's really an exciting and fun experience to have that direct communication. And then Louis D'Souza, who does the Monday show, I had invited him to come in because he wanted to ask questions of the stream directly. And he just kind of took over the show at that point. He was just saying, okay, I get all this stuff. I get this. Here's the thing I really want. I mean, he was just like hammering down to the nub of what it was he was trying to ask about. It was great. It was fun. So yeah, just want to encourage everybody, send in questions because we're going to be asking them every Tuesday, and we'd like to include yours.
That might be fun for us to do one Friday. Just have people come with questions and answering. You know, Linda and I can get information from Spirit. You know, to help. Mm-hmm. That might be a fun thing to experience with everyone.
Well, one thing that I have been thinking about doing, particularly with all of the challenging times we've had, there have been a lot of times lately where connecting to YouTube just doesn't work. I mean, I connect in and it says it's working, then it doesn't work. It's kind of a signal to me, well, maybe I should start streaming back to Facebook again, because that's what we used to do. We streamed to Facebook. And one of the beauties about streaming to Facebook is you do tend to get more questions. You tend to get more people listening in who want to ask questions. So, you know, maybe I'll use that as a way to say, okay, time to shift. Well, you can and you can't. It's not easy to do. I figured out how to do it. You can't just do it with the Zoom platform because Zoom only lets you connect to one. But I've also found another one. It's an open source one called, I think it's OBS or something like that. And I can connect the two together and have one go to YouTube and the other one go to Facebook. Oh. It's a complex setup. It's like a 3-computer setup, but I figured out how to do it. The only glitch is it could get me in Dutch with Facebook because Facebook says, we don't want you to stream to anything else while you're streaming to us.
Right.
So not quite sure exactly how to iron that one out, but I figured it out technically anyway.
But I guess you can always upload. Can you get the video and then upload it to YouTube afterwards?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. So you can still be on both platforms, but just
Yeah, it's just that I would love to be able to live stream to both.
So let's try it. Let's try another Facebook and see what the difference is.
Okay. It's been a while since we've been on Facebook. We last did it about a year and a half ago. So
yeah,
and we were doing it a while there.
We did get more interaction.
We did, yeah. So maybe we'll do that. Okay.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Questions. I love when people come with questions.
It's fun. It's fun.
When you do it on Facebook, you can actually hear them asking the question?
No, it's the same thing as YouTube. It's a live stream chat audience. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
And that's actually something that's coming with the app at some point. First, I'll be adding in a live stream chat. That's going to be like 2 or 3 updates down the road, maybe 4. It takes a lot of work to get that one to happen. But I do want to get it to the point where the live stream can automatically connect into the Zoom stream. So they can, on the fly, connect right in.
Right.
And that's a big project. There is a lot of work that goes into that one. So that's
we don't want to hear, Walt. You can have it done in a half a week.
That's what you told me about a month ago. Yeah. I think I need a break for a little bit. It was good. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad it helped me get the app out and so forth.
The time was right.
But this is summertime. You take your summer vacation. This is time for my summer vacation. Then
I get it.
In the fall, I'll try again.
That's fun.
I got to celebrate this one for a while.
Yes, absolutely.
In fact, that's also a reminder. I want to remind people that's now the go-to way to listen to the podcast is to download the app, and it's going to become even more so as time goes on. The update that I'm working on right now, it's going to be the first official update after having released the app to both the App Store on iPhone and the Play Store on Android. The next update is going to include Dan Mangaina's 2 gifts. He gave us the audio series of his course called Beyond Intention, and he also gave us an ebook called The Money Game. Beyond Intention is sort of a general how to manifest stuff course in audio form based on a book that he wrote. And the Money Game is literally what he does with his clients, helping them get 6- and 7-figure incomes every year. So, and he gave them to us for free. It's just, he's including it as part of the app just because he's part of our team, which was really, really generous of him.
Who's this now?
This is Daniel Mangaina. He and Alex King do the Tuesday and Thursday shows with me, and he's the one who also brought the Stream of David to me. So he's been wonderful. He's a great guy. And boy, does he know Law of Attraction. Let me tell you, this guy is good. I brought him on as a guest. He was recommended to me by Steve Rowell, who was a co-host for about a half a year, roughly a year ago, something like that. And then Steve had to skip out. He said, bring on this guy, Dan, you'll like him. And so I had an opening one day. So I asked Dan to come on. He came on. And I don't remember what the question was that I asked, but I just started off with a question that was kind of a hypothetical. And it was, it was a typical kind of question that people have. And I kind of laid out this whole scenario and said, okay, there's this going on, there's that going on, and all that. He took my question and he went right to, okay, let's go to Law of Attraction. What do the basics tell us here? It's like, whoa, this is good. This guy's really good. And he just summarized, he got all that chaff out of the way, went right to the core, like within seconds.
Where can I read about him?
Daniel?
Yeah.
Well, you can read about him on the app. There's a little bio on the app. So that's one place to go. You can also read about him on his website, dreamwithdan.com. That's probably the best place to learn more about what he does. He also has some Facebook groups associated through his Facebook page, Dream with Dan. So those are your best go-to ways to find out about him. But okay. Yeah, Daniel's wonderful. Daniel's been a great addition to the team.
And now with the app, can you track how many downloads you have, like how the podcasts?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was already able to track how many downloads there are. That's been I've had that for the last 4 or 5 years. What I wanted to do additionally with the app was to find out when somebody plays something, how much of the episode do they listen to? Do they listen to 5 minutes of it? Do they listen to the whole 60?
Like what YouTube does.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. And I found that that's actually going to be part of a future update because I found that my first implementation, I kind of screwed up the code. So I don't quite have the metrics that I'm looking for there. But that's okay. That's something I can get to. But it's going to be fun to know that. I think I know what the answer is going to be because I could kind of infer it from the data that I had through my other source. But I want to know really precisely that what I think is true.
Right.
So what do you think is the average listen?
I think that there's a large chunk of the listenership, probably 60 to 70%, who listen to the episodes all the way through.
That's a big percentage.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, and the reason I can infer that is because I can see how many plays there are. And a play is simply somebody starts playing it, whether for a second or for 60 minutes.
Right.
And I can also see how much bandwidth is being used in my account. Bandwidth being how much data is being transferred around. And so if I take the bandwidth and I figure out what the average episode size is and divide one into the other and then compare that to the number of plays, what I find is they're fairly close to each other. The bandwidth number works out to about 80% of what a full play is. So that means a lot of people are listening all the way through.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
But I'm going to find out more precisely because I don't know. I'd like to know. I'm nosy. I want to know.
Do it.
So, yeah. So once again, that's going to be the place to go because we're going to feed all of the recorded podcast through it, of course. We've got Dan's his ebook and his audio course are going to be on the app. And everything that we keep adding is going to be on the app. So the new live stream will be on the app. As people add more and more stuff, I may even try to cut a deal with one of these card makers, like the cards that you draw, Linda, and see if I can get cards on the app. And if you guys have anything you want to contribute, we'll put that on there. But it's going to be the place to go for everything. where LOA Today is concerned. So might as well start now.
You want some meditations? I'll give you some meditations.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We should start a meditation page and start. Yeah.
Nice.
In fact, I've had one request I've had this from a number of listeners over the past year or two, but just yesterday I had a request from somebody who gave me some wonderful feedback on the app. By the way, the people who've been giving feedback, I really appreciate your feedback. It's been great. The feedback in this particular case, she said, it would be great if we can access more than just the 25 most recent episodes, because that's what the feed has. The feed has that 25 limit because a lot of the places like Spotify and Pandora and Apple iTunes and so forth, they have limits on how much you can push through them. So I always keep that limited in that way. But like we've done entire podcasts on books, page by page, practically. We've done all the Abraham books. We've done the Neville Goddard books, and I'm thinking maybe at some point I turn each of those into like a little package, so you can download that package. You can play the whole book all the way through with, in that case, with Cindy Chavez and I discussing it,
right,
stuff like that. So yeah, it's going to just grow and grow and grow.
But on the LOA Today website, you can go by the host and just get all of that person's shows, right?
You can, yes, yeah. It's just not as convenient as having it all in one place where you just play. So, but yes, you can. Anybody who wants to go through the website, all of the episodes are there, and you can just go through the categories.
That's a lot of episodes.
There's over 1,200 episodes we've done.
Oh my God! I mean, you're doing 5 a week now. You were doing like 10 a week before.
I know. Well, before that I was doing 1 a week, but still, yeah, okay. They add up after a while. That's what I found out. But yeah, over 1,200 episodes have been done. It's mind blowing. So.
That's huge.
It is, but it's fun. That's why I keep doing it. Anyway, this has been great. So thanks for telling us about the HeartMath. I'm really encouraged and curious to try. You said they have a special on that, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it's still available.
Oh, that's right.
Price,
it's still worth trying. It's still worth trying, but
definitely.
Yeah, no matter what. So I'm gonna check that out. And Linda, can you get any better at those cards, please? I mean, come on. You just nail them.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I mean, Rita knows the cards just go where they're supposed to go. So
that's it.
Yeah, but somebody's pulling those cards. I mean, I'm just saying. So anyway, ladies, I hope you have a wonderful weekend and get outside and do some good stuff. And come back next week with even more. And I'm looking forward to find out what the report's going to be on the HeartMath next week, because I think you're going to have more to tell us.
All right, cool.
All right, sounds good. So thank you very much. Thank you especially to our podcast listeners as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.